Alright, this is John Colo with discountjuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to review the all-new Nama Mini Juicer. Actually, just kidding. This is totally a knockoff purchased on Amazon. And I want to throw up the reason why I'm making this video today. Boom! You see it on the screen? It claims this juicer gets a 99.6% yield. That, my friends, is a lie. I gotta tell you that right now. Even the pure juicer that costs $2,500 doesn't get a 99.6% yield. And you know, it really disturbs me on how sellers on Amazon sitting over in China import a whole bunch of cheap juicers to the USA and then sell them and make, in my opinion, exaggerated claims, right? There's no way this is ever going to get 99.6% yield, actually. I've tested the most juicers of anybody in the world, and there's no way. Another difficult to believe lofty claim made on this machine is that they say it has a 10-year warranty, which if it did, that would be an amazing deal unto itself for a machine that cost about 5 times less than the Nama J2. 10-year warranty on a really inexpensive machine like this is literally unheard of. I think the most a Chinese company will generally put their self up on the line for is maybe 3 years if they know the machine is well built. That being said, talk is cheap and you could put anything on Amazon like 99.6% yield or 10-year warranty and then it's not even true. Furthermore, there is no contact information for the company, including no US-based phone number, no US-based address. However, there is an email address listed in the instruction book. No mention of warranty in the instruction book itself, and I think the US has some warranty laws where you're supposed to be able to at least mention the warranty and state the terms of it, which is not even mentioned. There is an email address listed in the instruction booklet, and the website currently goes to a GoDaddy website where there's no website there. So that's what that is. Anyways, we're going to compare the Nama J2 against the little, in my opinion, copycat knockoff machine, the TUUMIIST. I mean, look at this. These machines have like a round dial. You could turn to either side. This side goes up momentarily. And so does the Nama one. It goes momentarily on one side and goes on to the other side. These are both hopper-style juicers, I put in quotes. They both actually have processing blades, which is kind of a first. The other knockoff machine I've seen on Amazon doesn't even have a processing blade. It's just a big, large feed chute that kind of spins produce around. Really didn't work that well. Link down below to my video why you shouldn't try to buy a Nama J2 on Amazon, where I compare it against the other knockoff machine. That being said, we're going to go ahead and do a full dive, deep dive into the inexpensive knockoff machine compared to the real Nama J2. Number one, I know you guys can see this instantly on the screen. It is the size. This is a real full-size juicer here. And what you guys see here is a mini juicer. If I had to describe this in one word after owning the Nama for over 2 years now, it has been on the market for over 2 years now, I would say this is literally a toy. Like, seriously a toy. And I'll show you guys why I believe it is a toy. It literally weighs about 1/3 of the weight, 1/3 of the weight of the Nama J2. The motor is weak and pitiful. The motor has a runtime, according to the instruction manual, of 10 minutes maximum, and then you need to turn it off and let it cool down for 15 minutes. Meanwhile, over on the Nama J2, it has no specific runtime, although Nama does mention that, you know, 30 minutes is a good time to use it. And then what I would tell you is that if I get out the Nama J2 and juice in it generally for home use, I'm usually juicing for at least an hour, and it has never failed me. Meanwhile, if you run this for more than 10 minutes, it will overheat, it will shut down, and you may end up causing motor damage due to it overheating, because I mean, it is an inexpensive machine. The other thing I want to point out immediately is the hopper size, right? This hopper is tiny. I don't even think you should call this a hopper. This is just a glorified feed chute, in my opinion. You can't really hold that much produce, right? The NAMA J2 hopper is 2 liters. It holds 150% more than the TUUMIIST machine. Anyways, I want to show you guys actually what each of these machines come with. The TUUMIIST comes with a Pulp catch cup, which is actually smaller than the juice catch cup. The juice catch cup has a spore spout. To me, this doesn't make any sense. Like, did they think about this? Because when you're juicing, right, you're going to make less juice and a lot more pulp. So they give you a bigger juice catch cup and a smaller pulp catch cup. Doesn't make sense to me. Meanwhile, the NAMA J2 comes with a smaller pulp catch cup measured up to 1,000 milliliter. This is only measured up to 600 milliliter. And then this has a much larger pulp catch cup, as you guys could see, so you can catch the pulp. So, I mean, that's perfectly designed. Of course, both machines come with the pushers, and to me, these pushers pretty much look like it's a knockoff, like a very similar shape and design. They both come with cleaning brushes. This is a little baby cleaning brush, and this is the adult cleaning brush. This is really flimsy, guys. Look at that, it totally bends. And this one's a lot more rigid, not quite as flexible. Now, this was interesting. I've never seen a juicer come with a spatula before. I'm not sure why you have the spatula unless there's a lot of residue in the top when you're done and you need to kind of like take the spatula and spatula it down because it's just not properly designed. No idea. Meanwhile, the NAMA J2 has no spatula. Of course, they both come with instruction booklets. The Chinese Copycat basically has some rough English, in my opinion. And then the NAMA instruction book is much better written. Of course, the NAMA J2 also comes with a quick start guide, which there is no quick start guide. If you just read this on this pamphlet, it'll really get you up and running quick style. The other thing that's really fun on this machine is that the CEO of NAMA cares about you, and he wants you to have a good experience juicing in the NAMA. So much so that actually he puts his email address here in the quick start guide so you can contact him directly to give him your good feedback and also bad feedback if things aren't working out for you, and he's there to ensure you're taken care of. I see no CEO contact information other than a generic email address actually printed on every page of this instruction booklet. Of course, the other thing about NAMA is that, you know, they're a company founded on the principle of wanting to get people to eat more of a plant-forward diet. And so they give you guys a recipe book so you could have all different kinds of recipes to get you started juicing more plants, tried and true recipes that they've tested in their very kitchen. Of course, you get no such recipes with the inexpensive TUUMIIST. Now, while the TUUMIIST does claim a 10-year warranty on the Amazon listing, I would bet a lot of money that in 9 years, there's not going to be a warranty on the TUUMIIST. That being said, the NAMA J2 has a full 15-year warranty, and I can confidently say that NAMA will be around for the next 15 years to honor their warranty. They have some of the best customer service in the juicing industry, and they continue to innovate and will come out with new products in the future to not only make the J2 better by offering accessories, including the 3-liter hopper, that's just going to be so large, as well as other accessories to make the J2 better, as well as other products to allow you to eat more plants and eat a plant-forward diet. Next thing I want to talk about is really important, okay? In both instruction books, right, say if you're juicing celery, for example, the TUUMIIST says you need to cut the celery into 2 to 3 centimeter pieces, which works out to be about a little bit over 1 inch to 1.5 inches approximately. Meanwhile, the NAMA J2 says to cut into 2 to 3 inch pieces, which is basically double the size. This means you'll be doing less work if you purchase the NAMA J2, which will make the juicing process more convenient. Of course, also, the hopper is 150% larger, so you can fill up more at one time and literally walk away from the juicer, whereas this hopper is a lot smaller, and instead of being able to load up the hopper, walk away and have a glass of juice and come back, you're going to sit there and continually feed produce into the machine, taking up your valuable time when you could be doing something else. Now, the other thing that was quite interesting, which is usually not done on cheap Chinese machines, is that they have a page in the instruction book right here that actually shares all the different plastics that are used to make this juicer, which I highly respect the company for doing. That being said, after I look over the list of the different plastics, including ABS, PP, AS, and PALM, to me, these plastics, while they may be, FDA approved for food contact, the problem with them is that they are low-grade plastics. They can melt at a lower temperature than some of the more durable plastics used in the NAMA J2. So should you put this in the dishwasher, it's probably going to melt the parts, right? That being said, I recommend that you guys never dishwash your juicer. You should always hand wash it. So using lower quality plastics, they can cut costs, and of course, that's one of the reasons why the machine is a lot less than the NAMA J2. In my videos, I try to share with you guys the pros and the cons. I mean, the big pro of this machine is that it's inexpensive. The con is that, big con is that it's not going to make 99.6% yield. Probably doesn't have a 10-year warranty in my personal opinion. Also, the inexpensive plastics used on the machine make it less durable over time and may pose safety concern. In addition, this machine only has a 10-minute run time and it may overheat and then you may destroy the juicer anyways. So once again, guys, you get what you pay for. And here's the thing. If you guys are just gonna juice a one-time shot, you're gonna go on a juice fast and then never juice again, hey, this machine would probably make it through a juice fast for you guys. That being said, I don't want you guys to go on a fad juice fast. I'll put a link down below to my video. What I want you guys to do instead of a juice fast is I want you guys to drink fresh juice each and every day. Drinking juice each and every day for 365 days out of a year is going to give you guys a lot more health benefit than a short 30 to 40 day juice fast where you lose a bunch of weight, but then you never learn to acquire the taste of fruits and vegetables and to eat healthfully. Meanwhile, if you start juicing every day and drink a vegetable juice every day like I recommend, right, you're going to start getting a taste for vegetables. You're going to cut out one of your meals a day like I cut out my breakfast because I normally drink a juice for breakfast. And I'm going to flood my body with the nutrition in leafy greens and vegetables and fruits in smaller quantities, right? This will do a lot more to benefit your health than going on a, fad juice fast, losing a bunch of weight, and then going back and ping-ponging into the junk food and the processed food. I don't care if you're going to still eat junk food and processed food, but if you get one juice a day in, that's going to take you 1 inch at a time. And by the inch is a cinch, by the yard it's hard. It's going to take you 1 inch at a time to make the dietary changes you want. So you could get the health benefits and the weight loss that you are seeking and keep the weight off for the long term. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and weigh both juicers to let you guys know how heavy duty these machines are. First up, we're going to go ahead and weigh the TUUMIIST. As you guys can see, it weighs out to be about 4 pounds and 0.724, so it's about 4 3/4 pounds. Next up, let's go ahead and see how much the J2 weighs. It's a lot heavier, guys. Look at this. Throw it on the scale. Look at that. We're at 12.79 pounds, right? So that's over 12 3/4 pounds. All right, so the NAMA J2 is a whole 8 pounds heavier overall, but let's go ahead and take some of the juicing parts off and then show you guys the weight, because that'll also be tell us the size, the weight of the parts as well as the motor itself. So now we drop down to 2.83 pounds on the TUUMIIST, and then if we pull the juicing parts off the J2, only drops down to 8.2 pounds, right? This is a much heavier duty motor than the TUUMIIST for sure, right? Which one will be more durable, last you truly 15 years? In my opinion, it's going to be the J2. I would not put money on this machine making it to 10 years at all. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and take each of the machines apart side by side and show you guys how each of the parts are made and how these machines operate. First up, to take apart the NAMA J2, we can just lift this whole top set off the machine. On the TUUMIIST, actually you can't turn this off or disassemble it or even assemble it unless this lid is open. So that's interesting. And then now we can pull this off. So you guys can clearly see the difference of the size difference of these two machines. It's quite drastic. Now let's go ahead and once again we're going to go ahead and pull off the hopper on the TUUMIIST. We're going to go ahead and pull off the hopper on the J2. Once again, you guys can clearly see the difference when we open these up. Literally the TUUMIIST hopper almost almost fits inside the J2 hopper. It is that small. All right, so first thing on the NAMA J2 hopper, the lid is removable, so that makes it a lot easier to clean, whereas the lid on the TUUMIIST, totally fixed. You cannot remove this, and one of the downsides is when you're done cleaning, I always turn this upside down on my drain rack to clean. If you turn this upside down on your drain rack to clean, like, it won't sit upside down. So you gotta have like the thing closed, and then there'll be water that'll pool inside the lid. I mean, these are just small things that bother me, and I'm like, did they think about this when they made it? Anyways, you guys can see now the hopper height is actually almost very similar. The J2 is a little bit taller. That being said, this hopper is a lot more narrow. Okay, you guys can see. The cool thing about this hopper, unlike other knockoff machines I've seen, this actually has a stainless steel blade. Let's see, is it even sharp? It's not really even sharp, so it's basically a blunt blade that just spins a produce around, maybe, you know, cuts it in a small way if it's a carrot, just due to the friction, not due to the, sharpness. But you can see this hopper is quite small. In addition, as this blade goes around, it could be centered up, and then you have two openings, one on either side. So this will let the produce in the machine a lot faster and not moderate how fast it goes in. Whereas on the NAMA J2, it also has a processing blade that is actually made out of a plastic. It has a special design shape on it to not only pre-cut the produce somewhat, but also, you know, move things around in the hopper to funnel it in so that when you're done, the hopper has very little residue. Actually, it's the least residue of any hopper style juicer I've tested to date. Works really well. In addition, there's just a hole here on one side, so it slows down and moderates the speed of the produce going into the machine. If produce is being fed into slow juicers too quickly, it can cause clogs or jams. That's why I love the J2, because it has the processing blade, which pre-cuts to some extent and also feeds the produce into the machine at the proper rate. It rarely will clog or jam up, unlike other hopper machines on the market. Interesting thing is, on these both these lids, the lids actually has the same size feed chute. The other thing to notice is that on the bottom of this hopper, it does have an O-ring, but I'm not sure that's going to be totally sealed. I will say that the J2 has a much better seal O-ring on it, and because of this, you could actually do an auto clean function. I'll put a link down below to my video where I show the auto clean function and how that makes the J2 a little bit easier to clean. Also, the weight of these parts, pretty substantial. This is a much more heavy duty part. Of course, the hopper itself is 150% larger, and on the front of this hopper there's a big warning sticker. Of course, on the back of the hopper on this one there's a warning sticker. So I don't like how this is like right front and center, and you have to look at it every time you're juicing it unless you peel it off. Alright, next up, let's go ahead and check out the juicing bowls. This is where it's really interesting. Look at this. This is a full-size juicer parts, and this is a little baby juicer. Oh, it's a cute little baby juicer. It's a baby juicer, guys, seriously. Alright, let's go ahead and pull out the auger on the TUUMIIST. I mean, look at that, guys. Seriously, do you think this machine's gonna, work as well as the NAMA J2 with a full-size auger? I mean, this thing is tiny. It's insane. The style of this auger actually looks very similar to Slow Star with two wing tips on it. But yeah, this thing is tiny. Also, of course, they're using a different plastic than they do on the NAMA J2, which is a much softer plastic, so it may not grind up produce as well as the J2. Of course, the J2 also has a lot of divots on there, and the divots are there to reduce the noise when juicing, and of course this has no such divots. On the bottom of the J2, it's rather open, so you can kind of get in there fairly easy. On the bottom of this auger, there's the metal rod that goes into the main juicer motor, and then there's a little gap here that's a bit harder to clean. Next up, we got the juicing screen and wiping blade coming out of the NAMA J2. The wiping blade spins around as you're juicing, and it basically wipes the screen off to get all your juice into your juice cup. In addition, it also helps to keep the pulp off the screen and keeps the holes clear of pulp buildup. And that's the this part here. And then of course we have the main juicing screen, which has the holes. So the holes will put less pulp in the juice than the screenless design that is, you know, getting more common these days. So we got 2 parts there to make the juicing happen. Meanwhile, over on the TUUMIIST, we have one cone style screen. It just has these little holes, these little gaps in it. I mean, while this is easier to clean, so there's no little holes to get things clogged into, the gaps are a lot larger, so that means you're going to get a lot more pulp in your juice, and this machine may end up making a smoothie instead of a juice, but time will tell when we actually juice in it. Also, of course, this part is significantly smaller than the NEMA J2 part. We could just fit that whole unit inside the NEMA J2, which basically swallows it up. This thing is quite comical. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and compare the juicing bowls. Once again, look at the size difference on these. This is a toy. This is a real size juicing bowl. Over on the juice spout on the NEMA J2, you can open and close this to do mixing in the juicer, which I do not recommend. I generally use this to prevent drips on the countertop once I'm done juicing. And then over on the other side, this is where the pulp comes out. This has an easy clean pulp port, so you basically just could remove this latch. It just drops open, and now you can easily clean in all areas of where the pulp comes out. You close that back up. In addition, in the NEMA J2, you can see it's basically a flat bottom for the most part, with a little center kind of volcano thing where the motor shaft comes in. So this is very easy to clean. There's no major nooks and crannies in there. Meanwhile, over on the TUUMIIST, totally different story. This is quite an interesting design. So over on one side, they have a pulp flap that you can close to keep the juice inside and mix inside, but then this juice bowl doesn't hold a lot of juice, so I highly recommend you guys not do that. You can also close it to prevent drips on the countertop. It looks like it does make a fairly good seal. And over on the other side, it actually doesn't have an easy clean port, right? It just has another kind of similar flap that you just could lift up, and actually this flap is the pulp flap, so it keeps back pressure on the pulp, so it doesn't allow it to come out until it's a bit drier. That being said, it's going to be a lot harder to kind of get in this area to clean because this thing is kind of like in the way. Also, this piece is fixed. Now, getting into the bowl, this is where, in my opinion, cleaning could become a nightmare. I mean, if you are just rinsing it, this would likely be easier to clean, but the challenge with rinsing it is if you don't scrub it with soap and water after every use, you could get mineral buildup, also different phytonutrient buildup, including beta-carotene pigments and/or turmeric pigments, which is nice and orange, and a little bit fatty deposits stuck in all these different parts that will build up over time and reduce the juicer performance. But they have all these little, basically, tines coming up because these tines mate with the juicing screen to kind of make a smaller little slit so that the juice could come out. So, I don't know, man. I'm not really a big fan of this design, but, hey, if it outperforms the J2, I'm fully on board. That being said, I've tested a lot of other, screenless design machines, and so far I have not yet been impressed. Of course, this also has no wiping blade to help keep the screen clean as you're juicing, and this is more likely to basically have a lot of pulp buildup. So the more you juice, the more pulp buildup, and the more pulp will actually be put into your juice. So yeah, that's a big difference between the TUUMIIST and the NEMA J2. Of course, now we get to talk about the motors. You saw the motor weight is a lot lighter. This is a 100 watt motor, and meanwhile the NEMA J2 is a 150 watt motor. You're thinking, John, the J2 is only 50 watts more. This is 100. That's 150. That's not much more. But what the wattage doesn't tell you, it tells you about how much power the motor will utilize. Has nothing to do necessarily with the exact motor power. I could guarantee you that the J2 motor is a much more sturdy and robust motor. The whole J2 is made in South Korea, whereas this is made in China. This machine can easily run a half hour without any issues, and up to an hour. I run the J2 pretty much on a regular basis, up to an hour without any issues. Meanwhile, this machine has a strict 10-minute time limit. If you run it longer than that, it may shut down, overload, or you may do permanent motor damage and literally destroy your juicer. Of course, to me, this seems like a very inexpensive machine, and there's like manufacturing defects in the plastic. It's not all the same exact color, and I'm not really sure what's up with the copper color juice knob. I would have at least made it silver or the same color or even black. In addition, I'm looking at the bottom of the juicer and there is no UL listing. UL is basically a listing that means that the appliance has been tested by the underwriter laboratories to make sure it is a safe appliance to use. And of course, the NAMA J2 has a UL certification made in South Korea. So you know you're getting something that's not gonna burn down your house. So if you get a machine such as this without UL listing, I would highly encourage you to unplug it after each use and don't leave your home with it plugged in. Next up, let's go ahead and show you guys how to assemble each of the machines. First up, we're gonna assemble the TUUMIIST, which isn't too difficult, although you do need to follow a certain procedure. Number one, you're gonna go ahead and take the juicing screen, drop it in. You're gonna take the little baby auger, drop that in too. This part's very important. You're gonna go ahead and open up the hopper, and there is no handle on this hopper, which I don't like. There's a nice handle on the J2 so you could grab it easily. You're going to go ahead and then line up the little line with the open mark on the hopper. Then you're going to go ahead and rotate it to close. And then you're going to have this outcropping, which NAMA has a similar outcropping, lined up. You're going to go ahead and take this whole unit and you're going to line up this little white arrow with the unlock on the main motor base. And while this is still open, you're going to go ahead and turn it to the lock position. And that's when you can close the lid. And if you have assembled it correctly, the machine will turn on. If you have not assembled it correctly, the machine will not turn on. Meanwhile, over on the NAMA J2, you're going to go ahead and take the wiping blade, shove the screen into the wiping blade. There's a little small half circle here, a large half circle there. You line up the small half circle with the small half circle here in the juicing bowl. Drop it right down into place. The large will also line up with the large. You're going to take the auger, drop that right down in the machine, make sure it's fully seated. You're going to go ahead and then take the hopper, which the lid can be closed, and just line up the little arrow here with the unlock here. On the NAMA J2, it's kind of molded into the plastic, whereas on this machine, it is painted on, so this may scratch and wear off over time. And then line this up. Once you have it lined up, you can take this whole assembly, drop it on top of the machine. And if you have assembled the NAMA J2 correctly, it will turn on. Most important thing, I want you guys to make sure this outcropping on the back is fully lined up. If the outcropping on the bottom is lined up with the handle, then you have not assembled it correctly. Drop that on, and once you have each of the machines assembled properly, they will turn on. Wow, that's annoying. So here's the thing, the NAMA J2 runs at 50 revolutions per minute, and the TUUMIIST is claimed to run at 55 revolutions per minute, which is just 5 RPM difference. That being said, while RPMs are one factor on what makes a juice high quality or not, because of a slower RPM generally introduces less oxygen into the juice, the other element is that how well does the machine grind up the produce to blow open cell walls to extract more nutrition. Due to the softer plastics, I believe this machine may not be as effective, but we will have to wait until we do the juice comparison, which is coming up next. Anyways, what I want to do right now is we're going to go ahead and do a sound test on each of the machines to see how loud they are. All right, on the NAMA J2, we're between 62 to 65 decibels. Next, let's check out the TUUMIIST. On the TUUMIIST, we're at 72 to 75 decibels. That's a full 10 decibels louder on the TUUMIIST. I mean, here's the thing, guys. Throughout this whole video you guys are seeing, you get what you pay for, right? You're going to get a quieter machine that's more durable, has a guaranteed 15-year-long warranty, made in South Korea with high-quality parts that's designed to last. Right? NAMA wouldn't give you guys a 15-year warranty on the motor and the parts if the machine was not designed to last. In addition, NAMA offers you guys free shipping inside the continental United States, as well as they're now offering free shipping within the European Union. which is amazing. That being said, the 15-year warranty is valid throughout the entire world, no matter where you are using your NAMA J2. This is not the case with many other juicer brands where they give you a significantly shorter warranty in Europe, for example, than if you bought the same exact machine here in the United States. So for that reason alone, if you're in Europe, the NAMA J2, in my opinion, is a no-brainer. Alright, so now that you guys learned about the weight of the machines, my personal opinions on the machines, some of the claims the manufacturers make about the machines, also the different parts of the machines and how they compare, the final part of this episode is we're actually going to do a head-to-head juice off in both machines. So next, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. Alright, so as you guys can see, we're set up and ready to juice, and we're going to go ahead and do a weigh-in. So you guys can see we got 1139.0 and 1139.0, so we have a fair fight. We have 4 apples and 4 carrots that'll be juiced in each machine. Let's go ahead and get these scales out of the way, and let's get juicing. Alright, so first I'll be juicing in the NAMA J2 juicer. I'll probably dump all the apples in and then break the carrots in pieces and then dump it into the hopper. I'll get the machine going and then I'll basically break up the carrots with my hand into smaller pieces and then dump it into the feed chute to save time juicing. So with that, let's go ahead and hit the start button. Let's go ahead and turn the J2 on, and let's go ahead and open up the hopper. We're going to dump in 4 apples. You guys can see the 4 apples fit fairly well into the J2. We're going to take the carrot, just pop them into pieces, drop them in. Looks like we could almost fit 2 of the carrots so far. We're going to go ahead and shut the lid and let this machine start juicing. As you guys can see, the processing blade is pre-cutting and allowing the produce to get dropped into the juicer at the rate it wants. As that is going, we're going to go ahead and then break up the carrots into smaller pieces and then drop them in a third. We're going to go ahead and dump the last carrot in there. First piece, second piece, third piece, and now guess what? We can get up and leave the room. This is why it is a hopper juicer. You can literally fill this up with produce, walk away, and let the juicing do all the work without you. So we're going to go ahead and speed this up and come back when it's all finished. Alright, you can see the hopper on the J2 is empty. That being said, there's a few more produce items working their way through the machine. The machine has worked without any problems whatsoever. You can see all the pulp came out over here and the juice is still dripping. Once that last produce item goes in the machine, you want to wait maybe another 30 seconds to make sure that it is run all the way through the juicing apparatus. Once you finally see that no more juice is dripping out and the pulp stops, you can go ahead and turn the machine off, and we're at 3 minutes and 30 seconds approximately. So definitely not a bad job on the NAMA J2. Of course, on the J2, I always like to tip this up to get any last bits of residual juice out of the machine. Next up, let's go ahead and juice in the TUUMIIST. How I'm probably going to do that is we're going to drop a whole apple in there. Then I'm going to break up a carrot into pieces, drop it in there, shut the lid, let the machine go. And once that finishes, we're going to then have to open the lid up, stop the machine, drop another apple in there because we can't just, put them all in at once because the hopper's so small. Or we could cut apples into little pieces and then drop it through the feed chute, but then that defeats the purpose of having a hopper. Then again, this is a mini hopper, so go figure. Let's go ahead and hit the start button and get juicing. Turn the machine on, open the lid. Let's go ahead and take an apple. We're going to go ahead and dump pieces of the carrot in. I think we can maybe put another carrot in there. Shut the lid and let this go. As you guys can see, the machine is juicing. The juice is slowly trickling out, and the pulp is starting to come out as well. This is actually quite loud and has an annoying pitch, in my opinion. This, in my opinion, has not been well designed. You guys probably can't see that, but what I'm looking at is the carrots are basically kind of stuck in the hopper and they're not dropping down because the processing blade is not hitting it. It's just not designed well. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to open up the lid, to put another apple in, shut the lid to push down the carrots so the carrots get forced in to the blades, and as that apple is juicing, we're going to go ahead and drop some carrots in. So I think in order to save you guys some time, we're going to speed up this part of the video and get all this stuff juiced and come back at you when it's all done. Alright, I think the TUUMIIST finally completed, and we're going to go ahead and turn it off, and it looks like we're at about 7 minutes. So literally it took about 2 times as much time as the NAMA J2 to juice the same amount of produce. And as I showed you guys, this catch cup for the pulp is just simply not adequate. It was actually overflowing here, so we actually had to use the juice catch cup as well. Alright, and on the TUUMIIST, let's go ahead and tip this juicer up and get any last bits of juice out of it. And wow, when I feel the bottom of this motor, it is quite warm. And once again, I want to tell you guys that, you know, we're at 7 minutes on the juice mark, and this machine has a 10-minute run cycle. So that means you're not going to be able to make much more than the amount of juice we made before you have to turn the machine off. Otherwise it will overheat and have potential motor problems. Meanwhile, on the J2, I mean, it has been sitting a while. I can't even feel that it's warm at all. It's quite efficient. Now, the other thing that's interesting is, I mean, we could show you guys this a little bit later, but there's a lot more residue and pulp left inside the hopper. This is not efficiently designed. When this was running, I saw the first 2 pieces of carrots got stuck and wedged in there, so it wasn't even dropping down, and the processing blade wasn't coming around and hitting it. Right? I then put an apple on top of it, and it went in, and then the second apple I put in was literally sitting and spinning on the top of the blade and not getting into the machine. Finally, when I put the carrots on top to weigh it down, that's when that apple finally started getting juiced. It also took a lot longer for this machine to process the produce. In addition, as this machine was running, I would see occasionally some pieces of produce literally fling out of the top of the machine. I have never seen the NAMA J2 fling produce out of the top of the machine, right? That was insane when I started seeing things fly out of the top of this machine. Anyways, I guess what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and move these juices front and center. Alright, first up, let's go ahead and compare the amount of pulp that was put into each juice. I could clearly feel the weight difference on these pulps, if you guys see the difference there. The TUUMIIST definitely put a lot more pulp. Let's go ahead and figure out how much exactly put in and weigh it out. Alright, NAMA J2 put 32.1 grams of pulp into the juice. Meanwhile, the TUUMIIST put in 64.1 grams of pulp. So guys, that's about double the amount of pulp that the TUUMIIST put into the juice. Next up, let's go ahead and compare and see how much juice each juicer made. Let's go ahead and compare yields on the juices. Over on the TUUMIIST, if you guys look very closely, looks like we got about 560 milliliters of juice. Meanwhile, over on the NAMA J2, looks like we got about 675 milliliters of juice. So wow, this was actually a close race, and actually I'm impressed with the TUUMIIST, although I do think there's still more fiber in the TUUMIIST, so we're going to go ahead and use a finer sieve. Alright guys, so that was very interesting. The TUUMIIST actually performed quite well, almost made as much as the NAMA J2. That being said, it was messier, took about twice as long. What I want to do next is actually we're going to go ahead and double sieve out the juices. Sometimes when you sieve only once, pulp still is remaining in the juice, which would then artificially inflate the yield. Alright, first up, let's go ahead and re-sieve the NAMA J2 juice. We're doing a single pour through with 0 tapping on the sieve. Alright, as you guys can see, we got a pretty easy pour. Very little pulp that was caught in the sieve. Gonna set that on top right there. Next up, let's go ahead and do, once again, single pour through the TUUMIIST. No tapping on the sieve, because that can also push pulp through the sieve. Alright. That's definitely a tad bit more pulp, guys, but actually, I'm quite impressed. It's not as much as I thought. Maybe a little bit more percentage than the J2, but as you guys can see, the yields are really neck and neck, which is actually quite impressive to me. I mean, at this point, the Nama J2 made like still a tad bit more, but not much more than the TUUMIIST. So next up, let's go ahead and do a taste test. All right, first up, we're gonna go ahead and taste test the Nama J2 juice. That's a good juice. Definitely apple makes it quite sweet. Let's go ahead and taste the TUUMIIST juice. Oh, that's even sweeter. This one, to me, tastes like a little bit more watery. Like it doesn't taste like it has as much substance in the juice, if that makes any sense. That being said, these juices are actually very close in yield and taste. If I had to say, like, the TUUMIIST is maybe a shade lighter. I think I want to go ahead and take a look at the pulps created on each machine and try to check the particle size. I mean, the particle size is pretty similar. Wow. I'm quite impressed with how well the TUUMIIST actually did. Definitely did not achieve anywhere as near the claimed 99.6%, but on the other hand, it did produce a quite respectable yield. That being said, I want to show you guys what's left in this machine when we're done juicing, especially in this top hopper here. Look at all the produce that's left in this top hopper. There's just a lot of produce left in there that was not juiced. And if it was juiced, it might even beat the Nama J2, because check out on the Nama J2, right? It got the hopper pretty much empty, right? It's a pretty clean hopper, so this means less cleaning when you're finished. So wow, this was definitely an interesting comparison, guys, between the TUUMIIST and the Nama J2. I mean, if I have to declare the winner after this juice off comparison, I'm going to have to declare the winner of it, the Nama J2. Now, why am I saying this when this one almost made as much juice? Number one, it didn't make as much juice. Number two, it put almost twice as much pulp into the juice. It took twice as much time, has a 10-minute run time, uses inexpensive plastics that may not be as healthy for you guys to use and not as durable. I'm quite suspicious of the claimed 10-year warranty on this machine, and I definitely will say for sure that this company does not have staff in the United States to take care of any warranty concerns, and it's highly likely that they don't even stock individual juicer parts. They just probably stock the entire juicer. So once again, you guys get what you pay for it. If you just want a juicer to use once or to give as a gift, and you don't like the person you're giving it to, and you'll never see them again because the machine may not last that long or break, right? Then get the TUUMIIST, guys. That's going to be a good value for you guys, because you don't really care if you're getting something disposable that'll actually end up in an American landfill. That being said, the performance is quite well. You know, it didn't grind up as well as the Nama J2. It tended to extract more juice out of those apples because I tasted it to be sweeter. But then again, guys, you guys know you get what you pay for. You're going to, pay top dollar to get a Nama. You're going to be guaranteed for the next 15 years that you'll be juicing in a high quality machine with durable plastic parts that does not have a Prop 65 warning for California like some of the other hopper style juicers on the market. That being said, the Nama J2 does cost a lot more than the TUUMIIST, but if you guys are serious about your health, making the lifestyle changes, and want to juice every day for the next 15 years, I'm confident that the Nama J2 you'll be juicing every day for the next 15 years because it has a 15-year warranty. I definitely would not say that about the TUUMIIST. It may last a couple months, maybe a year if you're lucky, but because the motor is so light duty and literally like a toy, it's likely to wear out or burn out, and then you'll be stuck without a juicer and then have to spend money to buy another. If you guys want to save 10% off, which is $55 off in the United States on the Nama J2, make sure you guys use the coupon code ORIGINAL10, which will save you guys $55 off the price of the best-selling Nama J2 juicer in the United States. Also, I want to let you guys know, if you guys can't afford all the money up front to buy the Nama J2, Nama does offer a firm and other different payment plan options for you guys to use, so you guys can pay it off in installments, and in some cases even pay zero interest. I highly encourage you guys, if you guys are serious about your health, to invest in the best vertical auger hopper style juicer out there. The one that I use most in my kitchen, which is the Nama J2. If you guys enjoyed this episode where I'm telling the truth about juicers, I number one encourage you guys to use my coupon code so I can make more videos like this one, compare the juicers, share with you guys the truth. If you guys are looking for the TUUMIIST machine, link down below to my Amazon affiliate link so you guys could buy the TUUMIIST machine and get a machine that performs almost as well as a J2, but will also take you guys about double the time, and you'll be capped off on about how much juice you could make, which on this recipe I would estimate you could make maybe approximately a quart, and then you're kaput, you're done. Meanwhile, on the Nama J2, I have videos where I make 10 quarts of juice in the Nama J2 in one sitting, whereas on one sitting of the TUUMIIST, it'll take you twice the time, and you can only make 1 quart at a time, so you won't be able to do the bulk juicing that I love so much. If you guys enjoyed this episode and like this head-to-head format, please be sure to give this a big thumbs up. That'll encourage me to do more head-to-head juice-off comparisons where I go out and buy juicers on Amazon and share them with you guys so you guys can see the differences between the name brand, best machine on the market and a very inexpensive machine on the market. Also be sure to share this video with other people that are either looking for a budget juicer and don't care about the quality, or looking for a heavy-duty juicer that will last you for many years to come, so you could buy something once and keep it for many years and be guaranteed you'll be juicing for the next 15 years to make the differences in your health, your life that you want. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new and upcoming episodes. I'll be coming every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up, or what new juicers I'll be comparing or contrasting, or what new juicing knowledge bombs I'll be dropping on you. And make sure you click the little bells to get notified as my new videos come out. Finally, be sure to check past episodes. Past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 700 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to teach you guys all about the different juicers, comparing and contrasting different juicers so that you guys could buy the right one for you. Links down below to some of my videos I made in the past with the Nama J2, including my previous video where actually I show another knockoff style machine available on Amazon, which I kind of like more than this one because at least the motor seemed a little bit more durable than the TUUMIIST. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.